Oh, goodness. Okay, so if I start singing, just stop me. Okay, so, making ripples. So, we checked out these awesome falls. I don't know what, Mosher Hill Falls? By the way, you have to go on this crazy spot where you're going down this road, there's a lot of bumps, it's in the middle of nowhere, your phone doesn't work, which obviously the anxiety is kicking in, like, oh my gosh, what happens out here and I don't have cell service? But we ventured down, the parking lot was literally just for one spot, okay? And you found your way into the wilderness and there's these beautiful waterfalls. So I got to thinking about your theme, so it was just like, ding, 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 perfect. So I kept thinking, in a little spot, there was a little body of water, and I just kept thinking about like a leaf hitting it, just like a leaf just floating down and touching the water, just kissing it, boom, just like that. And what that sort of visual, just kind of visual, so close your eyes, let's just, okay, just visualizing that body of water. Could be a small pond, it could be a lake, right? And then a little leaf going just right on the top of the water. And so that visual of the little ripple that starts from that leaf, just going across, and eventually reaches the far corners of that body of water, right? So that little leaf just kissed the top of the body of water, right? Started this little ripple, and then eventually it's a bigger ripple, right? And for that little pond, that's a wave, honey. Woo! You know. So that's pretty cool, right? So this could be really a great metaphor. You can not close your eyes, but if you want to just sleep, that's fun too. Naps are fun. So to me, that's a good metaphor. So let's stay on that. So that idea of you can make an impact may look different than the person sitting next to you. Your experiences are a little bit different. But whatever small action, no matter small it may seem to you, eventually it reaches the end of the pond, right? So that's pretty cool. So I find that in order to make a ripple, and again, this could be for any experience, this could be for each and every one of you, you have to feel like you have a solid foundation. Because in order for you to help other people, in order for you to be able to sort of externalize sort of what's going on and make an impact and a legacy and actually, you know, again, make a ripple, I find that you have to have a couple of things. You have to have self-confidence, you have to have self-love, right? Some of those things don't come just automatic, right? Sometimes when we look in the mirror and we say, "Ooh, gosh," you know, and that just could be me with a bad hair day, so maybe that's just me. But for everybody, I think we've all gone through experiences that were tough, right? And you probably are going through experiences now where you're still trying to find that courage to be yourself, no matter what that means to you. You're still trying to accept what the exterior looks like as well as the interior, right? And so, and I'm not a house contractor. I don't build houses, clearly. But I do know you have to have a solid foundation, you know, the concrete stuff. Like that? It looks like a square or something, I just know that part. That's why we have people that are skilled at this, okay? But anyway, so you have to have a solid foundation in order to build your house, right? So if your house is the metaphor of life, right? Otherwise, your whole house would collapse, right? Because you need something to hold it up, right? Just like this stage is holding me up. Hopefully, otherwise there's a trap door and I'm going right through it, right? So I am hoping that this stage is holding me, just like the foundation for your lives will hold you the rest of your life, right? So let's just follow along with the foundation. So how do we get that part? How do we get that to that point where you just feel comfortable going through life? You just feel comfortable in yourself, in your own skin. You'll love yourself. It's like a Pantene commercial, right? It's like, ooh, right? You know, the slow-mo air is blowing in your hair. And in my case, it's just the spike. But even still, you know, you like it. It's just like, woo, a little tingle, right? So I'm going to take you a little bit back to my own experiences in both middle school and high school, because it sort of relates to how I built my foundation and how I got to this point. And I think hopefully somebody can relate to my own experiences. Otherwise, I'm just going to be up here talking to you about some difficult situations. So in middle school, I was a little bit overweight. I had braces, right? And on top of that, I was a little outgoing, right? So I was a little flamboyant. So if you combine those three things in middle school, and probably even high school, that's not a good combination, right? So it was really easy to be a target for stuff, right? People just didn't like that. Braces, every name in the book, you know, railroad track. I don't know if they do that nowadays. They have Invisalign and different things, but it was not invisible, honey. It was right there, in your face. But it made it all nice. And then being overweight, a lot of people can relate to that. I mean, it's just one of those things where people, you know, I'm like, I like carb, boo you, you know? So, who doesn't love pizza, okay? So that's just not a good combination. So those were, you know, you can call it bullying, you can call it a lot of different things, but just sort of not nice comments, you know, and so dealing with that in middle school sort of led into my high school experience where I didn't really care what people said about me in terms of those other things, but then I started to try to figure out who I was and what I'm all about. And so it took me many, many years to get to a place of, you know, feeling comfortable with myself and being able to say, yes, Justin, you can be you and not care what other people think. But in the meantime, there was a lot of negativity. A lot of people, and you might go through something similar. It doesn't necessarily have to be for sexuality. It could be for weight. It could be for how you look. It could be for not athletic, right? Because some people are like, girl, you know, and that's just, you know, people are gonna say things. And sometimes it's not necessarily the exterior that, you know, that's coming at you. It's sometimes that little voice. And that little voice for me sometimes, hello! And that's what it sounds like. I don't know about you. Is that your voice? I'm just saying, hello! Right. So sometimes that voice for me, and that's why you can laugh at that voice. That inner voice that sometimes says that you are not good enough, right? That you can't achieve something, or you know, and again, this really happens a lot of times when you look in the mirror, but this also can happen when you're, you know, trying out for a sports team, or you're before a big exam, right? It's like, I'm just gonna fail this. This is not happening, right? I think we've all had that moment where that voice tells us this, even if your voice sounds a little bit more masculine than that, right? It could be hello, it could be like a Barry White or something. Hello, come to you live from your head, right? Well, that sounds fun, my goodness. Okay. So it took me a while for me to be able to not necessarily care about what other people said, but just for me to feel comfortable and have that self-acceptance and that self-love, and that permeated self-confidence. So when I finally got to college, I was able to really sort of take that and run with it. And so one of the experiences that really helped me along the way was Hobie. Believe it or not. Yeah, I know, right? Because when I signed up for Hobie, and I was just telling Edward before we got here, my Hobie experience, I sort of was, I was sort of apprehensive. I saw the pictures on the little poster when I was nominated by the guidance counselor, and it looked like a summer camp kind of condensed into a weekend, right? And for me, that's a bad combo, right? It's like, okay, all these other people I don't know, scary. And then they looked like they were doing team stuff and like together stuff, and that wasn't necessarily my thing at the time, right? That was sort of, just leave me alone, I'll just do it on my own sort of thing. And then when I got to Hobie, the first day of Hobie, and this, you probably could relate to this, they were doing cheers or something. There was like Baby Shark and all these other things, different cheers, and of course I'm thinking to myself, what did I get myself into? Can I just turn around and go back? But it was raining, so I'm gonna stay inside. So I was really apprehensive at first. I was like, ew. But as you are probably experiencing now, it's sort of, you get comfortable, and hopefully by the end of this journey, as we're going through the process, you're making lifelong friendships, but also that you feel comfortable to break out of the box a little bit, and out of your comfort zone. And that was the big thing for me, is having that experience, because oftentimes we're sitting in a class or in a sport or an activity, there's not a lot of wiggle room there for you to feel comfortable to break out, right? Like that High School Musical song, I'm breaking free! So then... That's right, this is American Idol. Woohoo! Or The Voice, I guess you could spin in a chair. But anyway, so I say all those things because that, having to go through some of those bad experiences, and I think we all can look back on our lives and say, okay, we've been through some not so fun experiences. I'm almost more appreciative of those bad experiences than I am the good ones. And obviously when you're going through a bad experience, you're not thinking, I love this. I love when people make fun of me. That's great. Can we keep going? No, you're thinking, my gosh, how can I get out of this situation? Can this just end? I just don't like it. But when you reflect back, there's something that you gleaned from it, right? Nothing that you did wrong, but you're able to move forward as a stronger individual. And that's sort of what I took some of my bad experiences with later. And said, okay, I feel like now, if somebody says something or makes a comment, it's like, okay, boo you, honey, I'm gonna let my light shine. Okay? And I'm gonna say it just like that, just for giggles, okay? But it takes a while to get there. You don't instantly, do that. I mean, some people, it takes their whole life to get to a comfortable place, right? But when you have that solid foundation, then you can start really, I find, being able to channel your energies the right way. When that weight is lifted from your shoulders that sometimes is self-created and sometimes it's external sources, like peers, like other people. But then you're able to really be you, right? You're not constantly worrying about judgment. You're not having the anxiety, or at least as high of an anxiety level when you're in certain situations because of your fears. You can channel that productively and say, okay, what am I most passionate about? What do I love to do? And that's a big question. Again, sometimes people take their whole lives to figure that out. You might know, like, I like working with animals. I'm gonna do that, right? Or I love, helping people, and maybe it's tackling poverty. You want to work as an executive director of a food bank. There's the whole host of different things. Maybe you want to be a firefighter. Whew, that's a hot job, right? Whatever it may be. That's great. Or going into maths and sciences, because God only knows I'm terrible at both of those. So hopefully go into something like that. So when you have your solid foundation, when you feel confident in yourself, you're then able to channel your energies and let your light shine very bright. Then you're able to make a ripple. Right? Let's get to the ripple part, right? So you've gotten your house in order, you've got a solid foundation, right? And then you're able to do something with it. So what do you want to do with it? So I have a prop. Ooh, here we go. Okay, go behind the desk. Okay. Who has heard of Rachel Ray? I love Rachel Ray. She is super fun. She can make my 30-minute meals any day, you know what I'm saying? Woo, I love her. Don't take that the wrong way. Okay, so this cookbook in particular, why am I holding up a cookbook? This is really getting fun. Rachel Ray, 365, no repeats. So why am I holding up this? So I love the title of this as we kind of think about life. 365, no repeats. So can anybody tell me why that might be important? Oh, yes, ding, ding, ding. I don't have a dinger, but I'll just make the sound. Yeah.
Because in life we don't get any repeats.
Okay, because in life we don't get any repeats. That's a good one. There might be another one that's kind of connected to that too. Oh, I'll help you. Okay, so, because you don't want to repeat the same lessons and the same experiences, right? Those could be the good experiences, they could also be the bad experiences, but you want to create new memories. We have 365 days in a year. What do you want to do in those time periods? No repeats has to do with that idea of making sure that when we go through something that's maybe negative, that we don't repeat that. Sometimes it's a bad relationship, and it keeps popping up in different people. So it's different people, but the same experience. Right? Maybe it's a subject matter that's difficult and you're repeatedly having the same kind of difficulty but different teachers. Maybe it's a job, a part-time job, and again, you're repeating similar things. Life is a funny way of kind of smacking you in the face sometimes and they're trying to tell you something. Sometimes we just have to take a step back and think, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? How can I move forward? Right? So that's why I like Rachel Ray. She kind of slaps me in the face with a spatula. Right? Hopefully with frosting. I love frosting, okay? So no repeat. So that's always helpful. So how do you then channel that into finding something that you love to do? Right? Does anybody know what they want to do for the rest of their life? If you do, raise your hand. I want to hear. I'm serious. Oh, yeah.
I want to go to college and then become a physical teacher.
Awesome. Physical education teacher. Love it. Yes. Ooh. A lawyer? And you have a pen too, so it's like, bam. Yeah, okay, I like it. Yeah.
I'm going to be a psychologist.
A psychologist. Ooh, you can psychoanalyze me. That's a fun project. Oh, yeah. A nurse? Ooh, I love that. That's fun. Okay.
I want to be an artist.
An artist? Ooh, I cannot draw. Like a stick figure is really my limit, so that's fantastic. Love it. Say that again?
Historian.
A historian. I just want to have a British accent when I say historian. But I love it. That's fantastic. I like it.
Third grade teacher.
A third grade, so not fourth grade or second grade. Third grade only. Okay, I don't like everybody else. Just third graders. Okay. They're cute. Okay, I like it. Perfect.
I want to be a Broadway actor.
A Broadway actress. Okay. You go for it, girl. We actually have a lot of people in Maine that have made it, doing different things. Actually, I graduated with somebody from Thornton Academy, and in Saco, he's doing the Pippin tour around the country. So, go for it. Yeah, so that's awesome. Anybody else that, oh, yeah, in the way back, just one of you. Just there, go for it. Yep, there you go. Yeah.
Music education.
Music education, love it. We'll go on the road here.
Structural engineering.
Oh, structural. We definitely need more of you. That's great. Fantastic. Let's clap for that. Structural engineering. Because if I tried to build a bridge, that would not go well. You don't want to travel over that. Okay, next. A lawyer. Awesome. Woo. Okay, and then president. There you go. Okay.
Pharmacist.
A pharmacist. There we go. Like it. Got the drugs. Okay, in the back. A doctor. Okay, here we go. Stethoscope. Okay. A surgeon. Like on my brain. So we combo the psychologist with oh yeah, there we go. We got a little thing going on. A little intervention. Here we go. A pathologist. That's specific. I like it. That's perfect. Okay. We'll see that's okay. We'll do one more. Over here. Yeah. Electrical engineer. We'll clap for engineers. So there we go. Okay. So I love that range of different things. That's awesome. So how do we get to that point of fulfilling those dreams, right? Sometimes it's taking that first step, like that leaf floating, that kiss. Let's make the sound together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. There we go. I love it. This is fantastic. Okay. So just like that leaf, it started with a one-step process, right? It just kind of floated down, and it seemed like insignificant. It was like, I'm just hanging out here on the water. What are you really paying attention to? But that little ripple again made it all the way to the end, right? So when you take that first step of acknowledging in yourself, this is something I value, this is something I appreciate, this is something that I love, or am going to love, or hopefully, do the rest of your lives, right? Because that's a big woo, but you get excited about it. And I find that your body tells you when you're really sort of on the right path, right? And sometimes you just have to listen to it, because when you get excited, it could be for a project, it could be for a subject matter, it could be for anything, and you're having a hard time, maybe this is just me, I just get so excited that I'm having a hard time sleeping, I'm really sort of I just want to do it now, right? Does anybody feel that way? It could be a big game that you're getting ready for, you're just, okay, let's do it, right? That was my football dance. I don't know. I think I did a good job there. But no matter what it is, you start, and it doesn't have to be that kind of energy. Maybe that's just weird me talking. But it could be that sort of same idea, right? When you're constantly thinking about it, right? It starts popping up in weird places, right? When you start getting signals, it's almost like a weird horror movie. Go away, right? It's not haunting me. I find that is a signal that you're on the right path, right? And sometimes you're shown these sort of things and you just have to pay attention to them, but there's sort of validation that, okay, you're not silly, yes, you can be an electrical engineer, yes, you can be a doctor, yes, you can be a lawyer. Things will start kind of popping up. You just have to then realize that they're happening and then take it. Sometimes it could be an internship, it could be a part-time job, it could be something that comes along that you didn't expect. And then you're just like, I don't know if I want to do this. And it's sort of like, for me, it was like Hobie and a lot of experiences like that, where I sort of then just went with it, right? Because I couldn't turn down, it was raining outside, right? When I was going to Hobie, I was like, oh, it's raining, don't want to get there, right? So you're just going for it, right? You're just going to delve right in. So if you want to be an electrical engineer, fantastic, okay? Or whatever it may be, a psychologist. And I could be your first test subject. There we go. But then what do you do with that? Okay? So I'll just tell you a brief experience that I had, and it sort of illustrates sometimes the spontaneity of life, and then just sort of delving into it. So one day I was going to college for broadcast journalism. I wanted to be a reporter because I just love talking on TV and just talking in general. That's just a thing I like to do. So I wanted to be a reporter, so I was going to school at Linden State College in Vermont. Yeah, somebody's from St. Johnsbury. But one day I sort of woke up, and sometimes we have these aha, I call them aha Oprah moments. We'll just say aha Oprah! Ready? Aha Oprah! There we go, I like it. Okay, so sometimes we have those moments where you just get a brain blast, right? Jimmy Neutron style, right? Just, right? Some people remember it, okay. 90s, okay. I'm infusing my childhood. Okay, so sometimes we have those. So I literally woke up one day and I was like, I think I am very frustrated with the state of politics and government. And I felt like if I didn't say something, if I didn't do something, I sort of was like letting myself down, and I was letting my generation down if I didn't act, if I didn't act. And so it sort of conflicted with what I was training for, right? I wanted to be a broadcast journalist. I wanted to report other people's stories. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But I was having a hard time sitting on the sidelines and not getting involved. Because as a reporter, right, you're trained to not be a part of the story. You are reporting other people's stories, right? You're holding other people accountable, which is important, or at least you're supposed to. Hashtag fake news. And so, oh, Megan Kelly. Anyway, so I was having a hard time with that. I was trying to grapple with my frustration with my passion. And so ultimately, what led me to run for political office was the idea that I just felt my core purpose, my core mission. Ooh, hello. Uh-oh. It's okay, I'll just talk to you. My core purpose, my core mission, and I just like holding it. I think it's the bell. No, that's okay. That's okay. So the core sort of mission I ended up discovering was helping other people, which is pretty broad, right? What do you do with that? How do you do that for a job? How do you do that for a living? And you might also be grappling with it. You might like to volunteer at the soup kitchen. You might like to organize an event that's supposed to raise money for the Cancer Society, right? There might be something that you like to do. It just makes you feel good to help other people. And you probably are discovering that whether it's a service project or anything that you're doing. So when I discovered that that was what I wanted, it didn't matter to me what the job looked like. I mean, yes, I probably would have a hard time being a garbage truck worker, but you know what? They make a lot of money, okay? But the core was, how can I help people? What is the vehicle for service, right? So when I realized that that was something that I liked, I decided that, I just stopped walking around. I decided that it didn't matter to me if I was a reporter or not, as long as I still got to help others. So I decided then and there, it was like on a Sunday or something in November, And, oh, thank you. It's the bow tie.
I know she is.
I'll just wink at it, it's a thing. So I decided literally like on a Sunday in November, this was I think 2011, that I'm just gonna run for office. Luckily at the time, there was a state representative seat that was available in my district. The state rep was turned out, so they couldn't run again. So there was no incumbent. And so without talking to party people, without checking with anybody, I decided I'm just gonna put my name down. I'm just gonna do it. So, needless to say, apparently you're supposed to check with a lot of people, but I'm like, I don't care, I'm just gonna do it. So, on a whim, I just filled out the paperwork and said, I'm just gonna try. I'm gonna take that first step. Just like that little leap that went, or bloop, or whatever sound effect you want to use for that pond, right? Taking that first step. And so it led me on a journey, a campaign. I had to do 2 different elections, a primary election and a general election. And on a whim, going to college in Vermont, and while running for office here in Maine, I won. And we won big with 60% of the vote. And so it really, but to get to that point was pretty tough. So through that experience, people judged me for having spiky hair. They judged me for who I loved. There was campaign signs spray painted with very derogatory words. It was a tough experience to go through. There was a lot of barriers to that success. But taking that first step was important. And because I built up a confidence, because I knew who I was, because I didn't let other people get me down because of that solid foundation in middle school and high school and in college, I felt like I could persevere. Like I could push through that cloud of negativity and just achieve what I wanted to do to help other people. So at 21 years old, I became the state rep, the youngest state rep in the country. And so I say that experience because it doesn't have to be politics. It could be anything that you want to do that seems daunting, that seems like a lot of people haven't done it before, but you want to do it. You're excited in the front row. Brr, you just want to do it, right? You're just so excited, you want to jump out of the chair, right? Yeah. And you're like, yes, Justin, of course, get away from me, right? So the point is that not only could a young person run, they could win. And then now subsequently serving in government, I'm noticing that young people's voices at the table are critical, especially now. Because fighting for the issues that you care about, sometimes they're not heard. Sometimes they're just falling on deaf ears. They're just not happening, right? And so it's important for young people to get involved, to advocate for things that they care about, and to try to make that ripple. And we've seen this in our own government, where we have about 13 members of the legislature here in Maine that are under the age of 30. That's pretty cool, right? So you can be 21 to be state rep, and you can be 25 to be state senator. So I'm just looking at all of you right now. TikTok, we're already starting the Facebook page right now. Right, so when we're up in Augusta and we're at the State House and we're trying to craft, policy solutions, what we're trying to do is we come together, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, just as millennials, as young people, and say, what do we want to do? What kind of impact do we want to make? And then we just go out and try to do it. It's that simple. And it's because of those experiences that led us to that place of feeling confident, feeling self-assured, that feeling of self-love, because you're able to move forward. So I lay it out like that because I think it's really important that you think about it as sort of stepping stones, as the little ripple turning into the big ripple. Ooh, just want to like surf on it or something. Right, okay. Surfboard, hashtag, okay. That's a Beyonce reference. Okay. Just saying. Exactly. So I think it's important. So when I think of life, taking a step back from the politics and everything else, going back to kind of Rachel Ray, because she's just a queen of knowledge, just letting you know. Not just about meal planning, but just life. I like to think of life as a DVD, or probably, it's now a digital download, right? Is that a thing now? I think it is. Okay, I still like to have the DVD. Okay, but let's just assume, let's go with the DVD metaphor. If life is a DVD, okay, what do you want on your DVD? What do you want on your disc? So if at the end of your life you were to look back, you were to pop that baby right into the disc player or your computer, laptop, digital device, right? And you were to watch it, what would you be excited to watch? What would you be proud to watch if you were to watch your life back? And I find when you think about life, which is deep, I know, like that, it makes you stop and reflect on current actions. It makes you stop and think about the activities that you do, the things that you start to value in life and care about, whether it's people or experiences or projects. Because at some point, you're going to look back and say, what did I do to lay that foundation? What did I do to move that ripple forward? Ripple! Right, I think we should just have sound effects, I just like it. So I think that's important. So when you're going through and you're planning to be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer and president, I'm just going to say saying president, in the back row, there we go. Yeah, exactly. They go hand in hand, I'm just saying. You know, think about the steps along the way. Think about what you value in life, what gets you going, what steams your clams. Sometimes, again, for me, that frustration, yeah, exactly, you can totally use that as a phrase, steams your clams. I think we should turn that into a hashtag steam your clams, okay? Then you can tweet at the president. I'm just kidding, anyway. Justin, no. So, hashtag steam your clams. So, maybe something that does get you upset, gets an emotional reaction from you, just clearly you care about, right? Because if you get upset enough, then that means you do care. That means you're fired up. You're ready to go, right? You're just like, ah, right? You just can't wait to leap off the stage and say hello, right? So, for me, it was frustration that turned into passion, right? For you, it could be the other way around. For you, it could be something else that gets you going. But when you find that something, right? And some of you seems like you're sort of on the right track. Though I will tell you, when I was your age, I wanted to be an architect. And then I realized math was involved. I was like, no, that's not happening. Because I just liked architecture. It looks fun, it looks pretty, right? So then I did this. But anyway, so I point that out because sometimes it's easy to kind of set those feelings off to the side, like, well, of course I'm upset about that. Of course you know, it just makes me upset to see something on TV or in the paper or online or whatever. And it's easy to ignore it. But what I find being in government now is really recognizing that we need bold ideas, we need bold leadership, especially from you. Because I feel like, and this is nothing against the folks that are a little bit older than us, but I think sometimes our parents' generation or the generation before them sort of left us a world where we're now having to take the responsibility. And if we don't have the luxury of waiting around for someone else to fix our problems. We have to be the ones to take responsibility for that. That's just the reality. Oh, they're snapping. Is this a cafe? I love it. It's a new jazz cafe. Shonda's. Anyway, but it's from a movie. Anyway, so I'll wrap up here and then we can get to questions and we can kind of talk about different things. But for me, it's just recognizing who you are, being comfortable in yourself, and then just having that confidence booster to be able to just go out and not even let anybody say that you can't do something. Because there's enough people that are just bringing that negativity to the table, right? And sometimes it could be a friend that you think is a friend and then they're not really a friend, you know what I'm saying? Right? That are just kind of dragging you down. It could be a parent sometimes. It could be a teacher. No matter who that negative Nancy is in your life, or negative Tony, I guess, okay? Whatever that person is, you know, just sometimes it's important to just be you and do you, and not allow other people to influence that. And it's super easy to do it because you're kind of going with the flow, but you know what? After high school, it really doesn't care who you sit with at lunch, okay? I'm just saying, okay? You can still eat those chicken nuggets and french fries somewhere else, right? Or you can eat salads, okay? But the french fries were cheaper, okay? So just recognize that, because I find there are inspirational stories if you just look around of young people making it happen. I am constantly amazed at the fact that we're able to achieve so much. And I feel like you guys have it in yourselves to do it. This front row is all about it, right? Oh yeah, see? This, okay, I like it. And the snapping. Okay, so yeah, you're gonna go far. I hope each and every one of you is able to make a difference no matter what that means to you. It doesn't have to be running for office. You can take my title away, it does not matter. What matters is what you do with your time on this planet. That is what matters, okay? It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a state rep. The littlest person can make a difference. Just like that leaf. Let's make that kissing sound. Okay, there we go. So let's open up for questions. Can we do that? Do we have time?
Yes.